So we have a complex fraction over here. Is 30% of the 40% of the 50% of 1000. So to solve it logically, we have to find out what is 50% of 1000. A value will turn up. It will be 40% of the turn up value. Then another value will turn up. Then it's going to be 30% of the final value which turns up. And we have to solve everything without a calculator. Obviously, everything is solvable with calculator. So first question is, what is 50% of 1000? So we are running for 50% of 1000. This is the reason for this video. Most of the students are taught 50% is 0.5. Well, it's fine, no problem. And you have to multiply 0.50 with, or 0.50 with the 1000. There is a mental way, or there is a fractional or decimal way. We are doing the decimal way. It's going to be 50 with the 3 zeros, because though this one is easy, not everyone is easy. Not every situation will be easier. Decimal with 0 and 5. Decimal is after 2 digits. We have to put the decimal there. Finally, the answer ends up with 500. So 50% of 1000 is 500. Then our goal is to find what is 40% of the value what we find, which is 500. So we are running for now 40% of this value 500. So 40% of 500. I will do the fastest one at the end because we have to know why we are using decimals. Let's use the decimals. That's the way most of the 90% of the school teachers teaches. Convert 50% is 0.50, convert 40% is 0.40, and we are doing it. So 5 times 4 is 20, and 1, 2, 3, 0, we have to copy the 3 zeros, which is 20,000, but not 20,000. The decimal is after 2 digits, so the final answer is 200. Finally, 40% of the 500 is 200, and we have to run for what is 30% of the final value we have just got. And the same way, 30% of the value of 200. Same traditional 0.30 multiplied by 200, and the answer is 6 times 2 is 3, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 zeros, and decimal after 2 digits. Finally, we end up with answer 6. Some students are faster in decimals. Well, it's fine, but we have a fastest way. So the final answer is 200. The final answer is going to be 60. Sorry about that. It's 3 zeros, so this the decimal is going to be there. 60 is the correct answer, obviously. And some students will do it in a little bit more faster way, and that is also faster, but there's a fastest way. So we just erase all this. Instead of coming from left to right, we convert all the all the fractions into decimal. 30%, simple 0.30 off means multiplication, and 40% is 0.40 off is multiplication, and 50% is 0.50 off means multiplication. So we just do it. About 80% of the students will prefer to proceed through this way. So all I do is 0.30 convert it, and it looks very faster, but it's not the fastest. Converting everything in decimals. Now it's time for calculation. Now you can do left to right, right to left, it doesn't matter. Now if we proceed from left to right, 0.30 times the 0.40 times the 0.50. Even if you use calculator, 0.30 is a loss of work. 0.30 is, this 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. Then I've got 2 zeros. I've got decimal over 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to put the decimal over here and multiply that with 0.50. Multiply it by 1000. Now, after decimal, these zeros are not necessary to type in. finally is 0.12 multiplied by 0.50. 5 times 12 is 60, and we have a 0 over here. And we have a problem. We have to write the decimal over here because 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you know that, remember from mid school, it's okay, fine. Finally, it's going to be the 6 times the 1000. Sorry, the 6 times 1, 6. All the digits on the right hand side. These zeros are not important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to write 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then when we put the decimal has to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have to put the decimal here. I changed the color of the decimal. Even after all this struggle, looks easy, you get 60. Answer is true. Answer is right. Now, what is the fastest way of doing it? The fastest way of doing it is fine. 30% is 0.30. It works. But there is another way. I got 30% in English. Suppose. What is 30% in English or in history or in any subject? So it means 30 out of 100. So instead of converting it into 0.30, a percentage can be converted in fractions. Fractions sometimes, and most of the times when you have all the zeros, it solves problem very faster. What should be 40%? 40% is I got 40 out of 100. And what is 50%? 50% is 50 out of 100. We see lots of zeros and the 3, 4, 5 and the 1. So 30%, if I just change it instead of 0.30, is 30 out of 100. Off is multiplication. 40% is 40 out of 100. And the off is multiplication. And the 50% is 50 out of 100. And of 1000. We can solve it from here, keeping everything in fraction, but little bit showing steps because not everybody knows it. Is going to be 30, all the tops. We multiply all the top times the top times the top times the top because that is basically 1000 is another fraction, 1000 over 1. So it's going to be 30 times the 40 times the 50 times the 1000. Everything is divided by the 100 times the 100 times the 100. Now, a simple math, a 500 divided by 10, the answer is 50. I'm not going for the details how to do that, but this is one simple strategy. Cut a 0 on the top, cut a 0 on the bottom. It's the same thing. We are dividing the top by 10, so cut a 0. Dividing the bottom by 10, cut a 0. We can divide a fraction by the same number on the top and the bottom, and the answer is 50. So instead of going for the long procedure, divide the top by 10, so we can cancel 1 0 on the right top, 1 on the bottom, divide by 10 on the top, on the bottom, divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, or cut a 0, cut a 0, cut a 0, cut a 0. It's so simple. It's going to be 3 times the 4 times the 5 times the 1, and the answer is still 60.